French Prime Minister Sebastien Lecornu is holding more meetings with various political parties this Monday amid parliamentary deadlock over next year's budget. First to be received was the Socialist Party. They'll be discussing the terms of a so-called special law that Lecornu hopes can provide temporary funding for the state. More discussions are expected in early January to try to get a budget for 2026. Well, to talk more about this, France 24's Clovis Casali joins me on set. Hi, Clovis.
Hi.
Is this then what we're seeing finally, a budget, but just not quite the one that the government wanted?
Exactly, not the one the government wanted, because it's not a new budget for 2026. It's a mere extension of the 2025 budget. At a cabinet meeting later tonight around 7:30 French time, well, the government will introduce this so-called special law to extend the 2025 budget, because France needs to be able to function, needs to be able to pay some taxes, have some kind of organization going. Obviously, I have to say, this morning in the editorial meeting at France 24, where we decide what stories to cover for the day, what stories to watch out for, when there was a mention of this special law, there's kind of a silence, because a lot of people are lost, including in this newsroom. So let's try to break it down is in a most simple possible way for everyone to understand. What is the context? At the National Assembly, no party or alliance of party has an absolute majority. Therefore, it can't freely pass a budget in Parliament. Therefore, there's need for negotiations between different parties. And that's what's been going on for months with Prime Minister Sebastien Lecornu, really keen to get this parliamentary talks going and to try to get some kind of consensus. Obviously, it has failed. At least in this time, they wanted to get some kind of consensus before the end of the year. They failed to do so. And therefore, as you were saying, next year, early January, there'll be more talks, and they hope they can get some kind of consensus. Worth pointing out also, Sebastien Lecornu has vowed not to trigger Article 49.3, which would enable him to pass the budget without a vote at the National Assembly, which was the case with previous governments under Emmanuel Macron.
All right, well, why are we in this mess? What are the points of contention, and why aren't these parties agreeing?
Again, let's try to make it simple. The right wing and the centre right want bigger cuts, less public spending. The socialists and the left want more taxes on big corporations, the creation of more jobs in the public sector, notably in the education sector. And then the far right wants both. They want less taxes. They also want benefits for French nationals in priority and severe cuts on immigration. And they feel that's how they could make up for the billions and billions of deficits. That's for the far right. The right and the left meeting Sebastien Lecornu, the French Prime Minister, today. The socialists have already left the meeting saying, we didn't get anything, but we told the Prime Minister what was our red line, what we want in the new budget. We're not allies of the French government. We're working with the government to try to get some kind of consensus. Obviously, it has failed for the time being. And to finish, why is it important to have a new budget? Why can't we just use the budget of 2025? First, because it means deficits are going to be higher and higher. So the money we have to pay, the French have to pay back to lenders, the taxes on that money will continue to go up because there are no new cuts to reduce furthermore the deficits. And then take a measure, My Prime Rénov', which is a way for French people, French households to renovate their homes in a environmental friendly way. Well, all of those measures, all of that aid, all that money given by the French state for My Prime Rénov', all that is on hold because there's no new budget. So a lot of uncertainty for companies doing that work on homes, and also for the households who thought they would be able to renovate their homes with government money in an environmental friendly way. That's not happening.
All right, well, French politics is hard to follow at the best of times. Thanks, Clovis Casali, for helping us see a little clearer on that.